Hello, fellow wine lovers. Filmmaker Ed Abrams and I had an idea. What if one winemaker sat down with another to share their stories about being a Rhone Ranger? About the challenges and triumphs of championing Rhone varietals in America, and about the joy these wines bring to people everywhere. What you're about to see is a promo for our web series Ranger to Ranger. Each episode showcases the voices, insights, and passions of the winemakers we've had the privilege to interview so far. In 1982, you started Au Bon Climat with Jim Clendenin, and your focus there was on Chardonnay and Pinot Noir.
You know, somehow Jim and I needed each other. Hard to imagine, but we really did, as far as having the guts to start up a little business. And so we both had quit Zaka at the same time. I think we just felt like we needed each other to get started doing something.
So your first wines were made in that old dairy barn at Los Alamos Vineyard. Mary Vigoroso, she was such a character.
She really was. Somehow Jim found this dairy barn that was, had been a bonded winery, or maybe still was a bonded winery. And so we were able to kind of take over there and get going. She had made wines from the grapes there at Los Alamos Vineyard. There was some sort of tax deal that benefited doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs. She wasn't born in Italy, but she was imbued with maybe New York Italian history or something. And she was a big personality. I mean, she loved trying to boss us around and tell us what to do. And
such a character. And I just remember her coming around and talking about the boys.
And she would talk about Italy, but she would always pronounce it Italy. And but anyway, she was quite a character, and it was really fantastic for us to be able to step into this thing that was already a bonded winery. So we managed to do pretty good in this primitive dairy barn.
The Au Bon Climat early wines got a lot of notoriety and public attention and sold to all the right places.
Yeah.
And that's what Jim was really good at.
He was
a salesman. I mean, not only a conscientious winemaker, but
I mean, he was great with stories.
One of my favorite questions to ask people is, how do you drink your coffee? Because if we take wine and put it into food terms, we'll understand people's palates better. So do you drink your coffee black, or do you need creamer or milk in it?
I drink it black, but if I'm going to have a third cup, I'll put cream in it.
But you can,
half and half.
But you can drink black and enjoy it black.
I prefer black for my first or second cup.
And that alone tells me a lot of different things. I'm gonna guess if you drink scotch, and I don't know if you do, but I'm gonna guess you drink it neat. You don't need it on the rocks.
I like it both ways.
But you can drink it neat and enjoy it neat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess you're probably gonna prefer cheese over chocolate, but if it is chocolate, it's gonna be dark over milk most likely.
You're right about that.
I'm gonna guess you probably like Brussels sprouts a lot.
Yep.
To the point where I can shave them raw and you're probably okay with that.
Yep.
I'm gonna guess you probably like pickled things quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna guess when it comes to wine, you're definitely more drawn to old world than new world. You want earthiness in your reds. You want rusticity in the reds. And with whites, I understand why you work with Marsanne and Roussanne as much as you do. You probably, if I'm gonna give you champagne, it's probably gonna be extra brut and no dosage. Mm-hmm. Because if I give you brut, you might find it slightly sweet. And you're gonna be drawn away from fruity wines into more earthy wines in general. So if we break it down, you don't have a lot of bitter taste buds. Bitter foods don't bother you. You're drawn to them. You probably squeeze lemon and lime on a lot of your foods. Acid doesn't bother you, but you're very sensitive to sweetness because you have more sweet taste buds. So if we ask these questions of people, forgetting about the wine, so I know now why you like cool climate Syrah over warm climate Syrah. You want that earthiness, right? You would rather have Northern Rhone over Chateauneuf, I'm gonna guess in general. I'm gonna guess that Zinfandel, unless it's a very peppery Zinfandel, is probably not your favorite variety to work with, or would not be your favorite variety to drink.
Yeah. I tend to prefer Zinfandel when it's more claret-like.
When it's older, when it's lost its zinny quality. Yeah. I'm gonna guess Amarone is not your favorite style of Italian wine.
I enjoy them,
but generally speaking, people are either bitter averse or they're not. So these are the types of questions that I ask people in the taste room. It's difficult to do on a macro level. It's quite possible to do on a micro level.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes in and they says they drink their coffee with cream, I'm not going to pour them pick pull.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as enjoyable to them as, say, the claret, which is not going to be as acidic.
Yeah, interesting.
It's a fun, humanistic way to approach wine, which is what I try to do.
I like the way you turn the table on interview to interviewer.
I talk too much.
Hi everybody, we're here with Sonja Magdevski in her tasting room here at Clementine Carter Tasting Room in Los Alamos, right in the heart of Santa Barbara Wine Country.
Take two, Mark.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm not really nervous, and now Bob, I'm super nervous. I have to just, he's like, yeah, no problem.
We'll have a little wine in a
Yeah,
minute.
calm down
Take
a
the
little.
edge off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for having us here today, Sonja.
Oh my gosh, I'm so delighted to be here with you, Bob. Thank
Thanks.
you very, very much.
Tell us about the wine we're going to have here, and
Should we
let's
pop
let's
open a little
let's
bottle?
taste some. Yeah.
This Rousson, well, first of all, we have to say Bob Lindquist is the only reason why I make Rousson today.
Oh, sorry about that. How are you going to sell it?
Exactly. Well, thankfully you led the way, and you led a wonderful, wonderful path for that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. So when you started your winery, it was named Pasadena, and then now you've changed it to Clementine Carter. Did I say Clementine or Clementine?
Clementine.
Clementine Carter. Tell us about that.
Clementine Carter is a character in my favorite Western called My Darling Clementine.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I know. Yeah, okay.
So John Ford, I think
Yeah.
it's 47 or 48, black and white.
Legendary.
My dad loved Westerns, and I loved watching Westerns with my dad, and so we'd seen all of them. I remember a number of years ago we had watched My Darling Clementine, and this character, Clementine Carter, comes on screen. And I was like, who's this person? And she's just this wild character.
I'm trying to remember the actress that Kathy Downs.
Kathy
Okay,
Downs.
Yeah.
And so she was just this confident woman who had traveled cross country looking for the love of her life, and when she arrived to Tombstone, her love was unrequited, and yet she still found a reason to remain and stay in town and be connected to the community. And so her story rang true, was sort of how I was feeling, and I loved the name. I'd say like Sonja Magdevski doesn't, it's a great name, it just doesn't really roll off the tongue as easily as Clementine Carter. So for years I kind of took Clementine Carter as kind of an alter ego, like all my passwords and everything. They're not anymore, but at the time it was that. And so when I tried to introduce the Rhones fully, I thought, well, let's use that name.
That's a great story in transition.
Thank you.
Good morning. We're here with my old and good friend. Didn't mean to say old. Long-time friend, Tom Hill from Los Alamos, New Mexico. Tom and I met in 1985 at Los Alamos Vineyard. Glad to have you here. We're at Tablas Creek Winery. And if you allow me for a minute, I want to read kind of a semi-bio. Tom Hill, a self-admitted wine geek. Tom lives in northern New Mexico and works as a computational physicist at Los Alamos National Laboratory, doing numerical neutron transport and large-scale code development. He has been tasting wines since 1971, participates locally with a couple of large tasting groups in his area, and is practically a fixture at most California wine festivals such as Hospice de Rhone, Rhone Rangers, and ZAP. Part of your tasting notes, which I've always really enjoyed, what you call kind of thoughts from the bloody pulpit. How did that come about? And
I would write out my tasting notes with all the descriptors and whatever, and then I would append to it what I call the bloody pulpit. And that's where I'd really give my opinions on the wines, how good I thought they were, how long I thought they would live, and so forth. And so that's just been sort of a tradition every time I put up tasting notes to put a bloody pulpit, and that's where the real information comes from.
10 years ago, in 2015, we did a dinner at the Beowulf restaurant in Oakland called the Woodshed.
What? Right.
Because Steve Edmunds and I had been taken to the Woodshed by Robert Parker, and I think
exactly.
You're the one who kind of inspired that dinner and that name for the event. Tell us a little bit about that, what you remember about that.
So I made some comments on the internet about how Bob Lindquist and Steve Edmunds had been taken to the woodshed by Robert Parker because he didn't think very much of their wines, and he loved big extracted wines from John Alban and Joey Tinsley and a couple of other those. But he pretty much strongly, not criticized, but he just thought the wines from Steve Edmunds and Bob Lindquist were lacking. And so I says, well, he's taking them to the woodshed. And so I even had a really neat drawing made up for it, and I was going to put it on a t-shirt.
That's
but
right.
I never did get around to getting that done, but the drawing was really neat.
Do you have a preference, Northern Rhone versus Southern Rhone?
Oh, absolutely, the Northern Rhone.
Yeah.
Because those are mostly Syrahs,
Right.
and then of course along the whites are the Viognier. But probably the blended Southern Rhone style of wines that I like the best are from California.
I'm here with my good friend Steve Edmunds, Edmund St. John Winery, in the western hills of Paso Robles at Cobbles Creek Winery, what they call their tank room. And we're going to talk a little bit about Steve and Edmund St. John and about the Rhone Rangers in general. But if you don't mind, I'd like to start off with a quote that Patrick Comiskey wrote in his book, American Rhone. If Randall Graham brought the flash to the Rhone movement, Steve Edmunds brought the soul, a framework for authenticity that faithfully served the movement through its early years and provided a kind of moral compass. His sensitivity translated effortlessly to his wines in blends which reflected an authentic Côte de Rhone charm and in meditative Syrahs. The combination got to the heart of what the movement was about, a winemaking aesthetic that would become more refined and artistic as the years progressed. Steve Edmunds has always possessed a touch of the poet, but few winemakers to this day are as committed to what amounts to an artistic vision of winemaking. I met you, Steve, in 1985, the year you started at Edmund St. John. If I'm doing my math correctly, that's 40 years.
Yep.
Where did the time go? Let's have a little toast. Cheers.
You got some too.
Tell us the story about Mike Higgins and how the name the Rhone Rangers came about.
Mike worked at a JV liquor store at that time. He said you should change the name of Les Côtes Sauvages.
Which is this.
Right.
Yeah.
And he said you should just call it the Rhone Ranger. And I, without thinking much about it, I just said that's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But that would be a great name for this group. And so I think it was when we were starting to plan that event at Oliveto.
This was the tasting we did at Oliveto, which was the
Upstairs,
first kind
right.
of, after that gathering at La Lime's, was
Yeah.
the first kind of promotional
Right.
event that we
Right.
did.
And I began the note to the other wineries with Dear Rhone Ranger. It can't have been more than a couple of weeks before an issue of the Wine Spectator came out. Actually, it was April Fool's edition.
Right.
And on one of the covers was Randall Graham dressed up in the Lone Ranger outfit with a white horse.
With a white horse. Yeah. That was a watershed moment
Yeah.
in
Well,
the evolution of the Rhone Rangers.
Randall knows an opportunity when he sees it. My immediate response was, damn, I wish I'd thought of that.
Syrah grown in the right place can be this incredible, complex, interesting wine. It has fruit, but that's not the point. The point, it smells like church incense. It's peppery. It's herbal. It's wild, and so yeah.
Cool.
I don't have one that's specifically the specific wine, but those wines at that time were just like, they really did it for me.
Me too.
Although Syrah has not become famous yet, who knows, maybe it will.